So I just want to tell you a little bit about my background because you only see the success side of it, and I wanted to tell you, inspire some people that maybe not from, that maybe think that you need certain requirements, certain exams to achieve certain things, that may not be the case. So I'm going to give you a little bit of background about me. So my name's Flavia, for those of you who don't know me, and I'm a 47-year-old single mum of two children. My daughter is going to be 21 tomorrow, and my son is 6. He'll be 7 in September. So, yes, I've done it twice. I was 40 when I was pregnant with Joshua. So, yes, it was going through it all again. Very, very interesting. But anyway, I've learned a lot in the process, and I'd like to share that with you guys and see if it helps you in any way. I was expelled from school at 15, and that is not the ideal way to start an adult life, really, is it? But I had a lot of issues, a lot of problems at the time, and I was playing out at school. I was from a single mum as well. I was from a single parent family as well. So my mum had a lot of other things she had to deal with, as well as crazy teenage daughter. And thank goodness, thank you, my daughter Lucy. It was nothing like me. She's an absolute angel. So I'm really, really grateful for that. But anyway, so I got thrown out of school at 15. But what so what did I do with that? Well, I was quite happy to be thrown out of school myself. But my mum said to me, you need to do a typing course. You need to make sure you've got typing, because this was back in 1987. 1987 that this happened. So yes, things were crikey, we didn't have mobile phones or laptops then, did we? We were still using telex machines and fax machines and what have you. So I did a typing course. I think it took about 6 weeks or something, 1 day a week, and I passed that, thankfully. And I started working in an office. I got a job in an office, and I don't know how I did that without exams. I must have lied on my CV. That must have been the first time I lied on my CV, and I have been continually doing so ever since. Thankfully, now I'm in a job where I don't need a CV, so it doesn't really matter. But I got the job, and I worked in a typing pool. It paid the bills, or what bills I had then I was 16. But I was really, really bored. I thought there must be more to life than this. So I stayed with them for a while, probably about a year or so, which is one of the longest times I've ever been in a job. And then I went and worked at a farm as a groom, because I've always loved horses. So I thought, well, if I work with horses, I'm going to be happy doing something that I love. So I got a job working as a groom, and I did love it for most of the time. I was young, and it was great fun. And next door there was a pub, which some of you may know, called the Mucky Duck or the Black Swan, but it was a very, very popular pub back in the 80s. It was a biker pub. Well, it was a biker pub on a Wednesday, but it was just a great pub. And I got a job there as well. We used to go there at lunch times. I worked at the horses' stables in the summer. So we'd go, the girl I worked with, we'd go there really early in the morning, get everything done by lunchtime, over to the pub, have a few pints down, or whatever it was, down the pub at lunchtime, and then go back and let the horses in, feed them, and go home. And sometimes go back down the pub again. And I loved it at the pub. So I ended up getting a job behind the bar, or I think I helped out once when someone was away there, and I just loved it so much I stayed there. I ended up... and I got bored with doing the horses, just because as I was doing the horses, I thought I would prefer to have enough money to have my own horse that someone else can look after and I can just ride, than being paid whatever it was, like £50 or £75 a week, to do what I was doing, which was mucking out a lot of stables. So I left there with my hopes and dreams, thinking I'm going to, make it rich somehow. I don't know. I think back then in the day, I still thought that the only way a woman could really get rich was to find a rich husband. But anyway, I didn't, needless to say. So I went and worked full time at the pub, which was great for a while. And then again, I needed, the work sort of slowed down there, and I needed to get myself another full-time job. So I went back into office work. I was in and out of office work sort of all through the years, and I mean, the jobs that I've had in offices really vary from all different companies. But one of the best ones I had was helping with the Formula 2 that the company I worked with sponsored. I used to go to race meetings and stuff like that. Absolutely loved it. So I've had some really fun jobs. I've worked in the film industry, worked as a runner on films and stuff like that. So yeah, the office work was great, but I really did get bored very easily, and just kept wanting to find the thing that felt right for me. So fast forward to crikey, what was it, 1990 maybe? And I actually went to Florida for the first time. Went on a little 6-week trip out there. My dad said, "Go and find yourself," and gave me the money and sent me off to Florida. Fell in love with it and have been wanting to buy a house there ever since. But also there is where I met the father of my daughter, and I think, no, I had already been singing. I'd started singing here because we used to go from the pub. When I worked at the pub, we used to go to a karaoke bar afterwards called Rocky's, which some of you may remember in Cobham. And that's where I thought I really want to sing. And so I started having singing lessons and pursued that, and ended up getting into a duo and doing some gigs and all of this sort of thing. So things were going along fairly well until the relationship that I was in at the time broke and devastated me. So I went running off to Florida again, and that's where I met the father of my daughter, who I was married to. And he was a singer, and we started working as a duo and in the pubs and the bars over there, and it was great. But we didn't have any money, so we ended up coming back to the UK, and long story short, it didn't work out, and I ended up bringing Lucy up on my own. So the saving grace was that, I guess for me, I would say that being in a situation where you've got no choice is always good to a degree, because when you're comfortable, you don't push yourself. When you are uncomfortable, you have to push yourself. And so the only way with a newborn I could figure out how to earn money was to go out and sing again, because I could pay the money I got for singing would pay for the babysitter for my daughter. Although my mum would babysit as well, but I've always liked to be very independent. So I went out and sang, and honestly, I think the first time I went and did a gig, that halfway through they actually asked if I could just go home. They said, it's okay, we'll pay you, just go. It was so bad, but what that did was got rid of my nerves, which was making me bad. And I said, look, please just let me finish the second half. And because then all of my fear had gone, because I was so, oh my goodness, if I leave now, I'm never ever going to do this again. And I brought it back, and we actually had a really good second half, and they were pleased with it. But so I did singing, and then I always wanted to fly, so I became cabin crew. And again, getting a job as cabin crew when you've got no exams and no real stable work history was a challenge, but I did it. And the reason why I ended up going for cabin crew in the end, I wanted to do it for so long, was because I'd read a book, the Richard Branson book, Screw It, Let's Do It. And I would recommend anybody who is feeling that they want to do something but they can't, should definitely go and read that book or get the audio book, because it's a short read and it's absolutely brilliant, by Richard Branson. And he says that if you try and figure out all the things that could go wrong when you start a journey, you will never do anything. You need to just take a step. So when I decided I wanted to become cabin crew, I didn't think, but I've got no exams, I've got no work history. And also I was concerned because my dad had a bit of a dark history with the airline. He got involved in something he shouldn't have done years ago. So I was really worried, but I thought, well, I don't know until I try. So I went for it, and then I did. I got a job with BMI for 6. It was a 6-month contract, and it was great. I met some amazing people. Some of you I'm friends with on Facebook still now. So I did that. So the point is what I'm trying to say to you is, from leaving school with no exams and being from a single parent family, I still managed to get these jobs, do the things I wanted to do, work with horses, work as cabin crew, worked in a pub. I did all of these things, worked in offices. And as I did at the time, I just thought, I don't fit in. I don't know where I belong. I can't keep a job down. I can't keep a relationship down. That's how I used to see things. But as I'm the other side of it, I realised that these were all learning curves, and thank goodness I did all these things, because all the skills I learned from all those different jobs has enabled me to run a business and be multi-skilled, and be able to see from everyone's point of view. So it enables me to offer a good customer service, and just have the skills, you know. So when I left, so I stopped working as cabin crew, and then I went back to singing again, and then I was with another lovely so I'd had Lucy, obviously. I was with another lovely gentleman who said to me, "You really should get yourself a proper job." Thank goodness he said that to me. So I I didn't agree with him. I wanted a career as a singer. But I went to a job agency in Walton-on-Thames, Halma staff, and I gave them my CV, and they had a look at it, and they said, "Well, you've got travel experience." And I said, "Well, I've done a 6-month contract as cabin crew." And they said, "You've got sales experience." I said, "Well, how?" And they said, "Well, when you're cabin crew, you have to sell duty free." And I thought, well, it is a captive audience, so it's not really difficult. But I said, "Okay." And they said, "Well, we've got we're recruiting for Royal Caribbean." And I thought, no way, that's a call centre. There is no way I am going to be able to work in a call centre. Just no way. And cruising, I was like, I don't want it. I couldn't think of anything worse. But, you know, the thing is, when you are a single mum and you're getting help when you're on low income, you have to make an effort to find a job. You can't just sit down and put your feet up and say, no, I'll wait till something better comes along. So I had to show willing, and I went along to the interview, and I actually fell in love with cruising, and thankfully got the job. And well, I stayed there for a couple of years. It was very, very tough, because the call centre environment for me was really the rigidity of being in a call centre and having your breaks scheduled into your time, and certain codes on the phone that you had to go into if you wanted to go for a wee, and all of this stuff, and very, you know, strong targets that we had to hit, sales targets, and we would get penalised if we didn't ask the right questions on the phone. It was tough, but I loved cruising. I fell in love with cruising, and so I just kept thinking, I'll do one more cruise. We obviously got concessions. It's really good concessions, and that's one of the things that I would say to anybody who is in a situation where they are desperate to take their family abroad and they can't afford it. Then, you know, look at a career in the travel industry. It might not be well paid, but the perks are amazing. So yeah, so I was with Royal Caribbean for some time, and once again I got itchy feet and thought, well, I would really rather do this for myself. So I went to a company who were like a franchise, so you have your own home working franchise, and they to join the franchise you needed £15,000 to join it. Now I will say I did not have a pot to piss in. Okay, so I didn't have the £15,000. I could barely pay the bills, but I thought, I'm going to go. Screw it. Let's do it. So I arranged. I had no plan. I had no plan in mind at all. But I went for the meeting with the guys, and we talked about the business. And I think they must have seen the potential. I was doing really well at Royal Caribbean. I was always in one of the top 10 sort of salespeople. But you can't, you know, if you're working with something that you believe in, it's not really selling. You just talk about it, and your passion comes across. So I didn't really find it was like a hard selling position or anything. So anyway, the guys said, look. I said, I would love to join you, but I haven't got £15,000. And they said, well, look, and they basically did a deal for me. I can't disclose what the deal is, because it was strictly in confidence that we had the deal. But it was a deal that was workable for me and for them. And it was fantastic. And when I came out, I couldn't believe that what they'd offered meant I could start my business that day. I mean, literally, I walked out of there with a £15,000 business. So it just shows you. The reason I'm telling you this is, again, go back. 15-year-old girl thrown out of school, no exams, has now got a £15,000 business, without having to pay for it at that time, without having any money in the bank. So I just want everybody to understand that it doesn't matter what where you come from, whether you're from Yale or from jail, it doesn't matter. It's not about yesterday, it's about today. It's about the action that you take and believing in yourself and doing the things to move you forward to that goal. Because if you just stay in your bubble of, well, you know, I'm a single mum with no exams, I've got no money, so there's no point in me applying for cabin crew, there's no point in me applying to own a 15 grand business, there's no point for me to do that. Well, I wouldn't have done the things I've done, and my son wouldn't have done, oh my goodness, I've lost count how many cruises he's done. I think he's done about 15 cruises and he's 6. I've been on 30 odd ships, 30 odd cruise ships, lots of launch events and stuff like that. I've been, you know, I still think I've been blessed. I've been, you know, there's an element of luck in it, but if you're not playing the game, you're not going to get lucky. So the luck didn't come knocking on my door. I went out there and made sure that I was there when the luck came, and I worked hard for it. So so then I started my own business working from home, and that's when I had Joshua. So perfect timing, and I became a single mum again, and I've got a business that I couldn't really get my head into because I was just so devastated being 40 and a single mum again. But we got through it, and from there I guess I started writing a blog because I had no money to market my business, and I thought the best way to do it is to start a blog, put all my experience and my passion about cruising on the blog, and that will be my advertising platform. But the thing is, I actually really enjoyed doing the blog, and that became, in the end, it became more of a passion for me to do the writing than it was as a travel agent. Because the thing is, when you are working from home as a travel agent, you need to do a lot of work before somebody actually books with you. It's great. It is great. But if you really need an income, then you need to have an employer, really, to be honest, at least at first. So I would say, yes, I'm getting off on a tangent, but I loved doing the blogging, and I thought I want to get into this more, so I did, and I loved that as well. But there was still something that made me feel that I didn't fit in. Wherever I was in all of these jobs, when I was at Royal Caribbean, I didn't fit in. I had something happen there where I did something really stupid, but my intentions were honourable. And you know, sometimes you can be the most intelligent person in the world, you do the most stupid things, and unfortunately, people it put a lot of people against me, and I made a lot of, let's say enemies isn't the right word, but I think a lot of people didn't like me where I was, and I was aware of that, and you know, that was because people had seen something from a perspective that they hadn't seen my perspective, but that's fine. People make judgment on you, you know, and then it flies around the office and everybody's saying things and what have you, but that was just me, you know. But anyway, I didn't feel I fitted in at Royal Caribbean, and then when I went to work as a travel agent as well, when I went on the cruise ships, again, I just didn't feel like I was with my people. I loved the people, and a lot of the people did like me, and I made some really good friends, but I just didn't feel like I was with my tribe. Does that make sense to anybody? Let me know in the comments if you know what I mean. So then basically I found out, I think it was as I was blogging, there was one of the ladies on Cruise Ships TV, and she was doing a makeover in the cabin, and she had this lipstick that didn't come off, and I thought, I need that, because as you can see, I'm not a makeup person at all. She had this lipstick, it didn't come off. I thought, that's great, because when you're blogging, I thought when you're blogging and when you're doing Instagram, you need to look perfect, and obviously I don't look perfect in many ways, which I'm proud of now. I celebrate that, my imperfections. But at the time, I just kept looking at everyone thinking, oh, they look this, they look that, and I just look old, and oh, that voice in my head as well didn't help, you know, keep telling myself these things. So I thought, lipstick that doesn't come off, that would be great. So I found out that it was kind of like a network marketing MLM thing, and I thought, well, that's great, I can get involved with that. I'll wear the lipstick, tell the people that read my blog about the lipstick, they'll buy the lipstick, and then I'll be making some money from the blog. But the thing is, I did a few videos of me putting this lipstick on, and I just thought, it's not me. Again, it's not me. And the amount of sales you had to make because I've always said I want to basically have an income of £1,500 a month will keep my head above the water. So every time I went into something, it's like I want to be self-employed. I want to have a business that earns me £1,500 a month. Looked at the lipstick business. Would it earn me £1,500 a month? I'd have to be pretty high up on the scale, on the pay scale, to get that kind of money. So that didn't fill me with a lot of confidence, and doing something that I wasn't overly passionate about, or wasn't passionate at all about. But then they said to me, go into groups and, go onto groups and post that you want people to try your product. So I was doing all of this stuff in the training. But the trouble is when I was posting about my lipstick in the group, I was reading the comments from the other network marketers who had other products, and I wanted to try them. So then I got involved with another company with these wraps that you wrap around your body. You do them at home and you shrink. It's like shrink wrap yourself. I am so cack-handed at stuff like that. I mean, I can't even pluck my eyebrows properly. So doing the shrink wrap was just a joke for me, a complete joke. But while I was in my kind of first week of thinking this is going to be it for me, I actually thought I phoned up the head office, and I wanted to speak to them and say, look, how much do I need to do to make £1,500 a month? So I rang this number, and it was a guy who picked up the phone, and he's like, yep. And I didn't like that straight away. I thought, this is head office, and that's how you answer the phone. And I had a chat with him. He didn't really want to chat. He wasn't really motivated. I don't think he wanted to talk to me. But he said for me to make £1,500 a month selling the selling the wraps, even he said that you're going to have to sell a lot. And I thought, well, that's no good to me, because again, it's not something I'm passionate about, and it's hard to achieve just the basics. I mean, just the basics, living essentials. So I stopped doing that, and I just lost my faith really in network marketing. I thought it was all a bit of a scam. So that was that. Went back, still doing the blogging, but had some incidents there. It seemed that wherever I went, there seemed to be incidents. I think maybe it's because I'm outspoken and just don't fit in. I just don't seem to fit in anywhere. Then I came across something on Instagram which was about fat loss and mental focus. And I did feel my brain was like, at the time. And I was in the menopause, so I was feeling brain fog, and I thought, this is it. But anyway, this product came along, and I tried it. I felt fantastic. I felt like I was 20 again. And I found out that there was a business involved. So I looked at the model of it, and it showed that the income that I wanted to achieve was achievable, relatively a low level. They weren't the high level earners. To be where I wanted to be weren't the high level earners, and that made me feel a lot better. And I thought, this could be it. So I got involved with the business, which is the business I'm in now. You hear me talk about quite a lot. And what I've, more than the financial gain, what I've gained from it is the community. I have found my tribe. It took me a while. I mean, when I first got involved, I thought it was a scam. I threw my toys out the pram, which I always used to do, which anybody that's worked with me before knows that I do. I used to do. I've learned with this company, I've learned emotional intelligence, which means I don't throw my toys out the pram. Occasionally it gets me when I'm not expecting it, but generally speaking, I have a handle on my emotions, and I have grown emotionally intelligent. So that is thanks to the community, to the personal development that we get for free. The events that we get, when we go to the events, we get amazing personal development. But just the fact that I'm with a group of people who want to help other people feel amazing and have a better life, and they all lift each other up, and that is what I love. The fact that it's for everybody and anybody. It doesn't matter about your background. It doesn't matter how many exams you've got. It doesn't matter how much money you've got in the bank. It doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't matter about your relationship. It doesn't matter about any of that. Now that matters to me. That doesn't matter. Now, I'm not saying that everyone should do what I'm doing. What I'm saying is that there is an opportunity out there for everybody, no matter where you are from and what you have done. No one's going to look back at your record and say, yeah, but back in so and so you did this. That's not what it's for, especially with network marketing. Network marketing is a great opportunity for people like me who don't feel like they fit in, who don't like to adhere to a 9 to 5. This is when you're going to take a pee. You have to ask permission for holiday and all of the rest of it. And for people that are passionate about a product, you know, if you can find something that you are passionate about, and there is a network marketing company for everybody. There's all different products. Just do your research, find something that fits in with you, that fits in with your ethos and your culture, something that you would use every single day, and you would tell people that if they use this product, they are going to have a good experience because you believe in it, because you use it. So I just wanted to really say that. I wanted to lay down a few sort of a little bit of a history about me and where I come from, because moving forward I want to share the things that I've learned becoming a single parent twice over, the way that I've managed to take my kids on cruises and restaurants and stuff like that, the little survival guides I'm going to be going through, tips of how you can do that, and also if anybody's got any questions of something they want to do but they can't afford it, then please let me know. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope it's made you realise that wherever you're from, it doesn't matter. Your future is not predicted on where you're from. It's about what you do today, and you have to believe in yourself. You have to take that first step. And the next live I'm going to do is going to be about how to figure out what it is you want, because you cannot take a step towards your goal if you don't know what your goal is, and your goal needs to be defined. So figuring that out is going to be the next step. It's like a roadmap. If you were going to go from New York to Florida by car, you would need a map. If you were going to go anywhere from anywhere in the world, you would need a map. So without knowing where your destination is, you cannot know the route that you need to take. Sometimes you go along a route and it's a bit blocked and you have to go along another route, but you have to be flexible and you have to be adaptable. But the thing is, you need to know where that destination is. So finding that is not always easy. It's not always what we think it is. So tune in next time. If there's anything I've missed out that you'd like to ask, please do so. And I look forward to talking to you soon about finding your goals and your why. Take care, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye.